Okay, the next piece I'm talking about is Fanny, or the Venus of Gaugenberg. And I'm doing this for the Italian Stone Age, but that's because we couldn't find anything because there was something just out in the wild and the museum was closed. So I'm taking one from Austria and putting it there, but this is my Italian Stone Age one, but not really. The city and country is near Stratzing, Austria, which is about an hour away from Vienna, on the river. And the specific location right now is at the Natural History Museum in Vienna. And the medium of work is sculpture from serpentine rock, which is green. And the period of work is the Stone Age. And the historical relevance is that it's one of the first pieces of art made by humans, and it's the oldest found in Austria and in this region. And it kind of gives us insight into the development of the human brain and the ways in which it's developed and what is important and what's possible. And it just kind of helps us track like where we were. Besides just like school capacity and things like this, it was showing us like we understand how to convey these things, and this is kind of proof, a testament to it, that the people living in this place at this time care about these things, and care enough about it to make some type of fun artwork. The historical, no, if all this work is important, I had to skip a couple questions. Obviously, there's not a lot of information on who made it, how long it took. These things weren't written down. That's also the point of the art, was that they couldn't write things down. So, not a whole lot of information. But anyways, some of the reasons why it's important is that, like I mentioned, it's the oldest human figurine ever found in Austria, one of the oldest in the world, but for sure in Austria. The defining characteristics is that it exhibits a dancing sitter pose with her hand raised up in the air and her upper body slightly twisted, making her appear to be kind of sort of mid-pirouette. My personal observation is that her womanly figure is still maintained, besides it being 2D and very limited detail. Like, she doesn't have any facial detail or anything. You can still see her breasts, and her hips are kind of wider. Like, all of the Venuses have very womanly figures, despite them being kind of more limited in detail and not even having faces, which I think is really cool. Even this one is just a 2D little flat thing with no detail. She still has boobs, which is really cool, and it kind of shows exactly what they valued at that time and what was important in their society, and that humans don't inherently care about that kind of thing. It's a taught thing. If anything, it's the opposite. Went on tangent, but I chose this work because I took like an entire class over evolution of humans. Basically, it was biological anthropology, so it was really cool to see like the back half of this museum, because I've been like, this is what I learned about for an entire semester. So the Venuses especially were really interesting to me, and just kind of learning about like what it means to be human, what's the definition of it, how do we make that definition, what fits into where. And art was really important because it shows that we learn how to express ourselves and communicate, and it's incredibly important. It was just really cool to see all these things like actually with my own two eyes after seeing them in a textbook and studying copies of it. How does it compare to other works within the period? It's a depiction of a person in motion, which was really typical for the time period, and it's a similar medium of stones that are found in wherever they're living, normally by a river. It's the materials that are present, and they use these to carve things important to them. There's many other Venus statues. I'm going to do a video on a different one, but you see them, and they're just made out of the materials in the area, which is very typical of the time because it's before trade was widespread. And fun fact, the figurine was named Fanny after Fanny Elsler, who was an Austrian ballerina in the 19th century.